Welcome back to the channel, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a really simple basketball in Blender 4.2. Now, is this the most realistic basketball you can make in a 3D software? Of course not, but for the amount of time we're going to spend on it, with the simplicity of the modeling and the materials, it's a pretty good result, and I think it is an excellent beginners to intermediate sort of tutorial, it's just a ton of fun to be able to make something like this. So that's the render there, and over here you can see this is what it looks like. This sort of materials, this is the lighting setup. So if you want to learn how to do this, let's jump in and I'll show you step by step how to make a basketball in Blender 4.2. Okay, so with a new scene open up in Blender, we're actually going to be using the default cube this time. So we're going to select the default cube. We're going to tab on our keyboard to go into edit mode, and with it all active, just right click and go here to subdivide, and under the subdivisions tab, just give that 5 cuts like so. Now we want to turn this into a sphere, but we also want to maintain the same topology. So how do we do that? Well, it's quite simple. With everything still active, we're going to go Shift Alt S. Okay, so Shift Alt S, and then just move your mouse, and you can see you keep going, and then left click, and there you have it, a sphere. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go over here into our face select option. We're going to go into our front view. And we're going to come here and let's enable the X-ray, and we're just going to select in our front orthographic view, we're going to select the bottom half and holding in Shift select the left half. So all we have not active is this bit here, this corner here, and we want to make sure it's perfectly just a quarter that's preserved. And then we want to go into our top orthographic view by pressing 7 on a number pad, and then holding a Shift still, we're going to just left click and drag and select this part here. So all we have here, okay, is just this bit here that is not selected. Okay, so in the front view it looks like this, in the right orthographic view it looks like this, and in the top view we should have this. With that done, you're going to press X and you're going to make sure to only delete those faces like so. So now we have this 1/8 of a sphere left here. So let's go now and press K on our keyboard. We're in our front orthographic, and that's going to give us the cut tool. And then click right here in this corner where these two edges come together right here, and you have kind of like this diamond shape. You're going to click on this edge right here on the end, on that vertex, and then go across and click on this side of the diamond, and then cut through this diamond over here. And then you're just going to come and click right over here in the middle of this bottom edge, and then just press enter, and it'll add that in like so. Pretty cool. Now go to your modifiers, add modifier, search and type in mirror, click on mirror, enable clipping, and by default it's set to X, but we're also going to go with the Y, and then now on the Y it's going this way, as you can see, and we're also going to enable the Z. So now we're actually doing a tutorial for once where we use all of these axes, which is pretty cool. Okay, so with that done, let's tab out, let's come to the drop down here and just apply that mirror modifier, tab back in, and now this is all one mesh. So we're going to go to our edge select option here. We're going to go Shift Alt, holding those two in, left click on this edge over here, this edge, and then do the same over here, this edge. So you can see this is this flow going like this, making this V shape. And you can see the exact same V at the bottom here. You're gonna go Shift Alt, left click here, here, and here as well. So we have these two selected. And then in the middle here, you have this edge. You're gonna go Shift Alt, left click on that. And this loop selects all the way around, but except at the back here, we need to complete the V. So holding in Shift and Alt, once again, just complete it, and the same here at the bottom. So we have this V running along like so. So if you were to go into wireframe, you should see this, and in the side view you should see this, and in the back you should see this. Okay, pretty simple. And of course we want to go Shift Alt and just lastly click on this one going down, this edge going down, and that'll select it like so. So now we have this selection. That's a classic basketball selection. So what we're going to do, we're going to go Control B to create a bevel like so. And once you have a bevel about this big, roll your middle mouse button to add in an extra segment, and then left click, and then go Control minus to shrink the selection, go Alt S and scale it in along the normals like so, going in like that. And with those edges selected, let's go to a vertex select option here. So you can see we have all of those verts active. Let's go to object data properties, and under the vertex group, click plus and assign that. So make sure to click on assign while those are active, and let's just call that groove. So if we deselected it here and we came and clicked on groove, we can go and select, and we'll always have that as a selection. So let's tab out. Let's go to our modifiers. Let's add modifier, search and type in sub. Let's click on subdivision surface and let's bump it up to 2. Let's right click here and go shade smooth. So now we have a basketball. Let's make this look a little bit better by going to our edit mode, just selecting in the front view through wireframe, just these verts over here, enable proportional editing, and then just go S, Z, and just scale it up on the Z like so. And that's just going to look a little bit better. So now, I guess we can stay in edit mode for now. Let's just go to our edge select option. And let's just come here to our vertex select option and just go and select. So we've selected that edge again. And then we're going to just go Control B to create another bevel and grow it like so. There we go. And then we're going to go to our materials tab. We're going to go, and by default, because we use the cube, it already has a material. So let's just call that ball. And then we're going to click on plus and go new, and let's call the seam. And let's go ahead to our viewport display. Let's make that black. And then if we come here to the top and we click assign, it'll assign that seam to the inside part. Then we can just click on a ball material and go down, and let's just make that orange so we can see it is a basketball. So now we've done the modeling. So if you've made it this far, you're doing really, really good. So we have a basketball. Now let's just stage it and give it some lights so we can add some simple but realistic materials. So we're going to go over to our render engine. Let's change the render engine to cycles. Then if you have a GPU, I recommend you enable it and use it. Otherwise, just stick to CPU, and then under your render samples, just make sure to take the max samples to something like 70. We don't have to go too crazy because we have denoising enabled. So I would just save this somewhere to your computer. And then let's go Shift A, add in fact, let's go to our front view and let's go Shift A, add in a plane, RX90, hit enter. S to scale that plane up, and maybe scale it on the X as well. And we're going to move this back. And you can see from the front perspective, this is like a background plane. So I might just move the ball down, I guess in this case. And I'm just going to delete the original camera. And in the very front orthographic view, I'm going to go Shift A, add in a camera. And this time in our right view, we just move it back like so. So now if you go into your camera view by pressing 0 on your number pad, you can see, you should see it from the front. And you can always grab the background plane and press S to scale it if you want to adjust the size. So now we have it all set up. So now you can grab your ball, you can double tap R, maybe give it a more interesting pose. Then go Shift A, under your light options, add in an area light. In the front view, I'm just going to move my light to the side, rotate it. I'm going to come to my light properties, give it a strength of 450 and increase the size to 3 meters. And in the top view, I'll rotate it more inwards and then go Shift D to duplicate it, rotate it in, and then Shift D to duplicate it again, have it coming from the back, Shift D to duplicate it again, have it coming from the side here. So those are our rim lights, and in our camera view, we can go Z and go rendered. And now we have some nice lighting. So let's select that background as well. Under our materials, just click new and call it BG for background. And simply go to your base color and make it dark. There we go, give it a darker value. Then select your ball here, go to the seam. Under the base color, make it almost black and just bring down that roughness just a bit. So now the more finicky material, I mean, bit more detail that needs to be made is just the ball here. Click on the ball, go to your shading workspace. In camera view, press Z and go rendered. And then let's go Shift A, search and get Voronoi. I'm going to get a Voronoi texture. We're going to plug the color here into the base. And then what we're going to do, we're going to take the scale and drag it up. And maybe let's go to like 140 maybe. Okay, 140 should be good. Then we're going to go Shift A, search and get a color ramp. Place it on here. And then let's take this slider, drag it up and make it kind of like mid-range on the value here. Let's go plus, create another slider. Let's grab this one and let's make this value a little bit darker than it currently is, but not too dark, so something like this. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go Shift A, search and get a ramp again, place it on here. And then this time we're going to drag the slider up just a bit and we're going to take the value up and make it kind of like a brownish kind of color. We're going to drag this slider down And we're going to make this one more orange, like so, and drag down the value a little bit. So we have these two here. And then to give this a more interesting texture, we can go Shift A search and get bump. Place the bump over here. Let's take the color and plug it into the height. Let's make the strength 0.05 and then take the normal and plug it into the normal of the principled. And maybe just drag the strength up until you get a result that gives you some bump. So now we have some bump and we have the right color, but all we need to do now to make it look less blocky is just come here to this F1 and make it smooth F1. And now that's really starting to look good. So now we can maybe just take the strength of the bump just down a little bit like that. And I think we can do with probably 200 on the scale here of the Voronoi. And that's it. Mess around with the strength. But that is our basketball material, as you can see here. Looks pretty good. And one more thing we can do is probably just come to the roughness here. Just drag it down just a little bit, like so. But that is how you make a basketball material. So let's go ahead and make sure to save. And then let's go render, and let's render the image. And there we have a basketball in Blender, made as simply as possible. Could you make this more realistic? Yes, you could, but this is as simple as you can do it for this sort of result, and it doesn't take too much time. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time for another Blender tutorial.